it's melting, and after that I'm there. But
I just turned it on.
okay.
But it takes a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I think the reality is changing so quick.
Yeah.
I was just talking to Morgan about it, like the logistics of me getting to Australia. Said I'm going to keep moving, this direction, but I'm not going to be limited by what I think I have to do. I mean, there's a whole new reality coming in,
Yeah.
and we don't know what's going to happen. You could have free energy tomorrow. You could have the grid goes off tomorrow. You could have we all go home tomorrow. You could have, it's going to blow everybody's mind. There's nobody walking the face of the earth. I don't even think a Tibetan master that's been living 500 years in the mountains as an adept would even know actually how it's going to go down. I could be wrong, but nobody really knows because everybody's got a piece of the intel. So this is going to be live on this portion of it as everybody's coming on. I forgot to put the announcements up.
That's okay.
But it doesn't matter. Yeah, it never matters. But yeah, they can see this from here out. So we're what, a minute 50? Okay. We have a very, very special Yvania expression. We usually play her song, but this time we're going to do something very special that we uncovered in the archives. So here it goes. Oh, wait a minute. Boom.
I had to come on. I've just received a message from the whales. Receive that with so much love.
I should provide a disclaimer because when you posted that in 2019, you said this is not serious, but there's something very activating about it. Actually, that was good, well language. I thought it was, especially with the what was that character in Nemo? His friend.
Yeah.
He looked like his friend.
Dory. Yeah.
Dory. Yeah, Dory.
Well, if it just, people just joined and they missed it, the beginning. Yeah, it was just like just finding the humor in things, because if you come from outside the spiritual identity and you look in as just human, and it's like, what the heck is going on here? What's this?
Yeah.
And it's funny. It really is. When you step back and look, it can be hilarious. And I sometimes, cruise around doing whale sounds or doing whale transmissions, and I just look back and crack up, really. So that was just a bit of fun. And yeah. I've done a lot of things that are a bit of fun that I've kept in my own archives. That.
Oh, really? When are you going to release those? They're going to be like Prince's hidden tapes. They're going to be like Yvania's hidden tapes. But you got to laugh. You got to laugh. Well, nobody's got it figured out. And I still think we're going to get to the end and we're all going to be laughing our asses off and finding out that we're all beating at the same vibration just doesn't look that way. Because there's parts of each one of us has our own pieces. So there's parts of us that we see very clearly. And then there's parts of us that are still evolving that think we see it more clearly than we might think,
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the humor's full of wisdom. Kind of takes all the words out, doesn't it? You said you've been on fire. What's going on? What do you mean you've been on fire? I've been on my ass up until this morning for the last 5 or 6 days. Every day when I get up, I can't even walk. Then I sleep 3 hours last night, 14 the night before, which was a long night, and I woke up and I couldn't even get on planet for 3 or 4 hours. And This morning I wake up and I'm like I've been sleeping for 30 days. Fine. Only slept 3 hours.
Yeah. There's been a tremendous shift in consciousness. And it's been like this excited energy for me. And I never know when the flames are going to rise higher, It feels like.
Yeah.
And I'm just happy to jump in and just take me there, It's like, if I don't know what's going on, I'll just jump in the flames and it'll sort it out. It just brings you back to being human. And I just felt this incredible, like a rose just blossoming, this beautiful feminine energy. And what I feel it, perceive it as, is that false light is on fire and definitely on notice. It's kind of, and it's coming through the feminine, not just not just females, but feminine. And it's kind of like, to describe it would be, when guys get together, they'll watch the footy, or they'll show their what's in their shed here in Australia, and come and have a look. Oh man, that's great. Yeah.
Look how big mine is. Look how big mine is.
And then you've got this, when women get together, it's about the togetherness. It's not about the ego. It's just the togetherness. And so that false light of love is nothing to do with togetherness. Yep. It's that spiritual identity, if you like. And it's just, like I said, it's just on fire, and it's just time. Have you gone on fire? You're frozen.
Have I don't know if I have a fire thing. Yeah. It's because everything is getting louder and more to ourselves. So people are getting it. I really think that people are. I had 2 shows on the last 10 days, and there was the dynamic of somebody's version of darkness, and what this field that I'm in with all of us. I'm not saying they were on the outside. It was an important discussion, both of them, but those things just aren't sticking anymore. I mean, how can we go into unity consciousness if there's any separations? I know that sounds like it's really simple. We're finding out where we're separated and prejudiced and biased, but I mean, I guess at some point we're going to have to, if we have really taken every single worst thing we can think of into our heart. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, I think in the end, just being human it's just where it's at. It's just in our humanness and our togetherness. And a lot of that, non-judgmental, no judgment judges judgment, and it's kind of, there's all these rules that all of a sudden now love has become an identity and a fixed state. And now love judges. Love has no judgment. Love, it has all these fixed rules now. Love doesn't look like that. It's not spiritual to smoke. It's not spiritual to drink. It's not spiritual to wear black. It's not spiritual to express how you feel. Yeah. But all these rules, all these things, all these rules. It's all these rules. And yet when you come back to just being human, which for me, I think humanity hasn't been able to experience and express their humanity because it's been so fixed everywhere else. The attention has been outside of the human being, and really who we are as human beings is something so incredibly beautiful and unique. And we're only just getting a taste of what we are and who we are, how we express, you know, away from the rules and the indoctrines, everything that goes with what this experience is, and it becomes more of just an experience of being human and expressing, you know, your humanity, basically.
What's the best part of your song? The one that the one that you wrote, the first song you wrote 4 years. The best part of this, you say, I am human. That's the best part.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what you're saying, because like we're going from trying to fit in ourselves, you know, because you know what I mean? Because even if we weren't like somebody who easily went with the crowd, we still did a lot of trying to fit in. And that's all going away now.
Mm. Yeah.
And yeah, you're right about the whole love and judgment too. None of these words have the same meaning anyway. Maybe truth or oneness, but the love that we actually are, so be it. There's no ego. I mean, and that sounds all cliche and new age, but this is the kind of stuff that's hitting our consciousness now. And the way it looks, the boots on the ground is, no, thank you. Or I don't want to go to the party. Or I changed my mind. I'm not going to answer that right now because I'm taking care of myself, right? I mean, there's a whole new set of dynamics.
Yeah. Just really choosing self and, you know, really feeling what it is to be human here in the body, and disconnecting, like, no disrespect at all meant in this statement, you know, if we're all going to this place called 5D, and only because it's Soul Speaks 5D, well, this can be Soul Speaks all D or Human Speaks all D, whatever, but it's like everyone's going to this place, and within this place, there's all these new rules. So in 5D, we don't blah, blah, blah. In 5D, we don't da, 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 da. And in my experience, humans are multi-dimensional. They're not in one dimension or going to another dimension, and then they're in all dimensions because they're nature, they're part of nature, which is the network of everything. And so it's like when you get out and you just come back to being human, there's your multi-dimensionality, there's your everything, because you're coming into the center of who you are, you know, in all dimensions.
Yeah. It's weird. The closer you get to the human, the closer you get to your multidimensionality being in your consciousness. And that's like so many different things involved. I was just talking to Morgan about that experience we had a couple of nights after she got to that quarantine. And I said, I wonder if what we were aware of always happened or is happening anyway. We're just now becoming aware of it, right? That's a level of multidimensionality, a different one than we've had before. So I wonder if it's just coming into our that's multidimensionality in your business is going to be like.
Mm.
But one thing, and you know, when I was talking about these two shows this past, and One Sister, One Brother, it wasn't to you know, because I know it did sound like it probably was in judgment, to be honest with you. It was more like what I saw coming to the surface was the attitude from us that it has to be this way. Like, so I asked myself after these two shows a few days ago, I was like, what do I look at that has to be this way?
Mm.
And it was really kind of revealing. It wasn't like I didn't know, but to ask those questions of any absolute that you have, but then to ask somebody else, I think that's what's getting loud.
Yeah. You're a bit sketchy on my end. I don't know if it's me or you.
I think it's me. It's me.
Okay.
Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you all right, yeah. I'm just interacting with a still frame here and there.
Well, anytime we have difficulties, we always have a good show. So why are you on fire? Tell me.
I just feel like just feels like that rose is really blossoming, blooming, and it's like there's no boundaries, no anything when you're just coming into your own, the center, you know, just really embracing being human and what your expression is. And there's, at the same time, there feels like there's like a collective opening of the rose petals through, and it's this togetherness and this excitement, this fire that I'm feeling on fire, because I have like that togetherness network is connected up, and we're all standing beside each other now. Where, you know, the false light likes to do the gathering to that flame that sits above everybody else, you know.
Yeah.
And then you've got the beautiful sisterhood that just comes together.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about anybody standing on a pedestal or holding this group dynamic, because that's not what that's just, it's just more of that false light sort of victim consciousness thing. Oh gosh, now I'm gone.
I'm here with you. Hang on, I'm gonna keep going with it because I want to ask you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna just keep going.
okay.
I'm going to talk about.
I can't even remember what I was talking about. Yeah, that togetherness. It's like it's a beautiful thing, because there's no leaders in togetherness, and there's no hierarchy in togetherness. There's what we call pure love, and it's just everybody together as one, equal. And from that, there is so much to be expressed, you know, that comes into bloom, if you like. And it's the beginning of togetherness for humanity. So, yeah, an incredible time. I'm just looking at these comments. Something to talk about. Yeah. I don't know what to. It's hard when you talk to yourself. Hello, self. What else can I talk about? Waiting. How are you guys going anyway? No worries, Morgan. Thank you. Yeah, synergy and a definite quickening. Synergy and quickening, and because of that togetherness, because of that connection, you feel it. Like the only analogy I can think of is those rose petals opening. It's just the one thing that just blooms, that quickening really coming into our own. And it's beautiful to see more togetherness and more things that are including everybody, where there's no person standing at the front or above anybody, because we don't need leaders and we don't need to be governed by anything but our own nature and expression. So that's what I have to say about that. I don't know what that one was. Recent one. Expectation and birth. Well, we're definitely in a birthing space, aren't we? And coming through this beautiful feminine energy. Keep going. Yeah, I feel like there's nothing holding us back. It's really. Hello.
How did you?
Hey! Hello.
Y'all want to take it over? Y'all take it. I want to watch.
Here we are. Hello.
Oh. Oh my goodness. I was coming in to save her. But you're clear now, so I can go, Todd.
No, you're not going anywhere. He's gone. That's all right, Morgan, because it's. Are you right?
Oh my gosh. The lag is really bad. I'll just sit here and listen to you.
No. Turn off your Facebook.
Oh, turn off my Facebook.
Yeah, you're watching the video in the studio at the same time. So all you need to do here now, I'm going to send Melina here in the audience. Yeah, you hear that? Turn off your Facebook, wherever you got it open. This is going to be good. Did you?
I don't know what
Is it off?
Todd.
Okay, just go on like you were watching it. Just Facebook tab.
Okay.
Or minimize it. You might have two windows open. Is that it? Yeah, you're good. Oh, she's not. Let's roll with it. Roll with it. Oh, I was going to say to you, yeah, that's true. I know we talked about this over a couple of years. You know, like you walk into a men's athletic dressing room, locker room, and a guy walks in and he says, "Man, I'm having trouble with my wife," or "I'm feeling emotional today," or whatever, and he would get laughed at.
Yeah.
And then I think what you're saying, I always used to say, if a woman walks into a locker room and something like that happens, not only will the ones that know her, but some of the ones that don't even know her will come over. And I was telling Morgan this too the other day, how, and again, we're speaking about energies being physicalized a lot, to a great degree, to our gender, right? I mean, everybody's got a different makeup, but with women, they have a different language, right? I mean, they actually operate within their likeness with women.
Yeah.
Even if they don't like each other, they communicate without even saying anything. You mean, like women just have this way. They have like these rules, these universal rules that you follow. Like, don't date my boyfriend, ex-boyfriend. There's things. I'm talking of an energetic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I look at what's happening, and that part of all of us is rising, and of course led by women, which has been the way it's been for 10 years since I've been in these communities. So these things like you were talking about, the way the sisters come together, and it's not about anything, let me show you how big I am, or whatever the case is, it's just the fellowship. And I think that's coming out. So like this thing that you guys are going to do next Friday, that energetically, that's what it is. They just show up and what happens kind of thing. That is to me, the intuitive, the spontaneous. And I think that's what's happened is where women, particularly when they're with women in a field of women, or that feminine frequency, they would follow their intuition against social norm. Whereas as a whole, we haven't done that.
Yeah.
We're trying to fit in, so intuition's going against that. So I think part of what's happening is we're starting to have confidence and actually plan our lives based on the intuition.
Yeah, it's everything, and that's our grid. That's our consciousness. That's how we connect. That's how we're going to connect. You know, all in together. It's like we have this. You know, as a woman, we've got a womb, and I've noticed the last few weeks there's definitely been a shift in the womb, and there's definitely been a clearing out of a lot of that false light stuff from within the womb, because when women get together, we are now in circle focused on this. It's almost like a collective womb that we all are holding space for. So it's our womb, and we don't associate with, you know, my womb or whatever. And I wouldn't be surprised if you know, the reproduction organs of things have changed too, because it did feel like there was a shift in how we are, you know, doing things.
I'll say. I was worried there for about 48 hours.
It definitely feels like there's been a shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And so that's part of it too. We think, okay, we're going to see the real divine feminine physicalize collectively, and it's going to look like this politically and this, you know, and religious, what it would mean to the different aspects of our shared experience. But it's really so much more than that, because it is a very internal thing. It's so in the body now that the body's, you know, it's connected, it's correlating with the expansion overall. But the expansion too is just multi-stream. Are you experiencing that where like you got like 8-10 streams that you're aware of, kind of coming and going kind of thing? Yet and I think for me, this is where I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do right now? I need to write that down, because it interferes with the way of functioning, like planning, scheduling, you know, rational, logical type of thinking. It's a totally different type of thing.
Yeah. Well, it's, you know, women are quite good at multitasking and that kind of thing too, because it's in, you know, the physical body's nature, or part of that womb and multi-dimensionality, if you like. But there's something incredible birthing through this togetherness. It just really is like, I don't know, Morgan and I had a really beautiful chat last night, just being together and just expressing from our own perspective what it feels like. And it's like you don't even have to express it, because you feel that togetherness, and you kind of, you can't separate who's what stuff. It's like, I'd love to, it's not even work together, but together we can birth this beautiful piece of inspiration, if you like, you know, because it's got this beautiful flavor of this togetherness. It doesn't have a flavor of anything tainted outside of just togetherness. And we haven't seen this sort of thing here for such a long time, and it is part of being human.
Yep. It's very instinctive too. I mean, it reminds me of Aboriginal, indigenous type cultures, you know, where everything is just, you know, everything, you know, like cogs in the inside of a watch or a clock. You know, everything's just related and connected, and one thing turns the other thing, and the other thing turns something else. But it's an instinctive lifestyle, right? Which again goes against, because if, for instance, if we're in our original blueprint, so to speak, vegetarians, I mean, So we've got all these loops that are going against our instincts. And I'm just using that as an example. It could be anything, right? It could be wearing clothes. It could be just anything. But our instincts, I think that's another way to say it, are kicking in. And I think it's more than that, because the women obviously have had it, the women's intuition, but it's actually following it all the time. It's actually it is actually the new navigation system. Instead of having these breakdowns where you say, okay, well, I've got to fit in here, or I got to fit in there.
Yeah, and it's about just being comfortable with your own nature. And that's what we're connecting to. That's where we get our intuition from, is our own nature.
Yeah.
And then taking that inspired action in flow with your own nature. And as more and more of us come together as the expression of being the human being that you are, and how you express your own nature, when the fullness of each expression comes together in togetherness, that is everything. Because it's being copies of things. It's like, let's use the spiritual identity again as an example, because there's so much copying that goes on in that, whether it's in church, whether it's in that community or whatever. It's just like there's no room for an individual expression, because you can't get out of the rules. It doesn't flow. It's fixed. It stays. It looks like this. It talks like this. And outside of that, in nature, there's just a beautiful flow that is felt and expressed from the individual first, connected to her own nature, her own womb, her own birthing, her own nature, and then coming together in that. So the time for these togetherness connections is perfect for those that are struggling with looking outside and wondering why they're not getting things right, why they don't look like that, why don't I get light language, why can't I receive downloads, why can't, because it's here already, and maybe you don't do light language. That's beautiful. What else comes out of that, and the more that we come into our own, then that huge surge, it's the togetherness. What I'm trying to say is that togetherness is such a quick catalyst for humanity. And once you get that, within that togetherness, the systems cannot stay. There's no room for systems and fixed in that. It's locked. It's like, okay, now we're flowing on our own nature's circuitry throughout everything we are. And we're not going to stop and be locked and fixed. When you're locked and fixed, you're looking outside for what's wrong, because something feels wrong. It doesn't feel right. I'm stuck. I don't know where to go. I don't know where to turn. I'm having a really hard time, because you're stuck and fixed looking outside for everything.
Yeah. Yeah. The hard edges of the patriarchal. Like what you're talking about and what's occurring is there's a softness to it. It doesn't mean that as many of us have gone into solitude and worked through these things during these waves, especially recently, it doesn't mean we don't feel, right? Like an ache or whatever the case is. It's just a softer experience. The other one's a very hardcore, and I think of these gatherings. Hey, look what I can do. Oh, you can do that. Look what I can do. There's a big difference between that and somebody actually coming into something, preferably in front of everybody for the first time, but something they come into and they're like, wow, look what I can do. Like, look at me. Like, I love me. Like, wow, I surprised myself. That's a totally different kind of thing. And that's the kind of atmosphere that I look at it almost like and In fact, when she started talking about it, I saw like an image of grandmothers in a circle. And it reminded me of a drum circle, because in a drum circle, everybody goes around, takes turns, and they express something. But it'd be a drum circle where nobody does anything. You all make a circle and then just see what happens. Because who knows what could happen in an environment like that. We've all had dimensional episodes. Many of us have had apparitions. Imagine there's a reason Stonehenge is in the circle. You know, there's something to it.
Yeah, you're creating that collective womb that is going to birth.
That's
something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is a bunch of little births making up one birth. And I think of this thing too, this conversion. And you were talking about the womb, because the womb has really been a big deal. That's really been a big deal. Man or woman, the womb has been getting louder and louder, you know, in our space. But I think of no more C-sections. And I'm speaking like as a metaphor. Like no more C-section, no more interference. The C-section is not a soft experience.
No.
Right? I mean, the birth, and I've never given birth, but I mean, I know it doesn't feel good the whole time, but it's a soft experience. You look at the woman having the baby and she can be in pure hell, but there's something amazing going on that just to even witness it. I can't imagine being the vessel. So it's that energy.
Yeah. So I think, you know, and it's not a final phase. It's a coming into, it's a beginning. It's a real beginning of something so incredibly special and unique. And of course, in the opposite, I know a lot of people are struggling and really flailing and grasping for air. And that's because it's falling away, the grasping outside of self, the grasping for what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, and really just really coming into our own, because together we can make incredible leaps with incredible speed.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, you know, and maybe what's happened is the masculine energy got to a point where, because you heard that. I heard it on this show. I remember maybe 4 to 6 weeks ago, there was at least 3 came on, energy practitioners, and they said, "Man," I said, "What's going on with your clients?" And they're like, "Men are just confused. They don't know what's going on. They feel like they're, you know, breaking down," which is, you know, reflective of the energy, not the person so much. And like to get to that point to then, because if you're in that state, obviously you unloaded something, even though you might be on your ass, but that created the space for this, maybe a resurgence or the second phase of 2 of the feminine really coming out, because that energy is being felt. And I go back to this comment Morgan's brought up a few times by the Dalai Lama, that the awakening will be led by Western women. And I thought about it a couple of days ago. I thought it's the first time I really actually went, oh, well, because they have an environment, even though it may be a facade to a degree, of more freedom. There's not as much suppression. And I can kind of see that energy when the feminine energy goes, okay, that's enough. We're just not going to do that. You know what I mean? Like, you can kill me. We're just not going to do it.
Yeah.
So.
And you can't go against your own nature, because it's so within you. And when you know that you are moving through you and your own creations, when you know that, and you come together with other beings that know that too, there's also such a trying to find the words. There's you could use reverence maybe, but it's more of, there's a sacred thing, because if you're aware that you're creating your own reality, and you can have, let's say you could have a stage and you could be on top of it, and you could be You could be preaching to everybody, right? It's my reality. I'll create whatever I like. And then in that, it causes that separation. You don't get the togetherness. So there's that masculine kind of thing again, or the false light, if you like, false love, whatever it is. When you get those groups of beings who are aware of that and they know that, and they come together, those creations are so pure because they're based on togetherness. That they can't be based on anything else, because it's not in our nature to overpower, create for self. It's actually about all of us as a collective, you know. So I don't know if that made sense, trying to convey.
Yeah, it's like the mother energy. So this is, I don't want this to sound in any way vulgar, because it's actually a very pure metaphor. So there's certain attributes or certain attributes of a woman that are in a way that a man might have some exclusive traits, but not like a woman, like carrying a baby, like having a baby. And the woman, the feminine frequency, has this ability to move into raw vulnerability. You know what I mean? Like raw emotion and raw anger and raw living and just raw work. You know, mother with 3 kids, a single mother, just humps it. You know, I mean, there's certain instinct that they have that's part of this frequency we're describing. So to me, the circle is like a space. And you're right, the word I think is sacred.
Yes.
And so it's a space, and I just picture, not in the image, but in the frequency of what I'm trying to explain, which is they all come to the circle and spread their legs. And what I mean by that is there's nothing more vulnerable, as I've come to understand, you know, through Morgan, than a woman spreading her legs. From an energetic basis, that is creation, right? That's like, you know what I mean? So I see that space. It's not even about, obviously no agenda. You're actually moving into a place where there's the common denominator is that ability to do that when you're in human form, which I think is a doorway, a stargate, you know, to our next step, and that energy is what's leading the way.
Yeah, it's perfect. And how these got birthed through so many of us to do, like what that came to Morgan. I'd been working on something for months, the same sort of thing. Just, it's not a gathering, it's not meditation, it's nothing like that. It's just a togetherness, a connection, because we need to connect, and that's how it's always been shown to me what to do. So I'm working on this, and it's coming through, and then all of a sudden, hey, we've gotten the go-ahead to birth it at the same time. So now it's like, well, I don't care whose connection of togetherness I'm in. You know, I'd love to be part of yours. She'd love to be part of mine. It's all togetherness, and it's these groups that come together. For me, how I've been shown is that these little groups that expand and grow into these massive connections, you know, togetherness, all overlap. And we all come together through that, because there's just certain, I guess, frequencies of nature that some people are more inclined to go towards. I feel more connected with that, you know, so that the other part of that nature can infiltrate into that aspect, that circle, and then they all join up in a beautiful flower.
Well, and the other thing is, I saw Morgan's comment, but and this has been happening to us and everybody as things have progressed, and that's the mergings that occur constantly, but that are occurring more consciously as we see things from a higher perspective, a higher expanded awareness, and we see the code exchange. So just from like a strictly an energy kind of explanation, you start having these little circles like this, and the frequency of it is what we're talking about, which obviously that's what's going to happen. You're going to have this immense super highway, super instant neural pathway exchange code exchange highway system. That's not only going to transfer a lot of code and information, but it's also going to anchor, like you said. It may happen right there. And I mean, who knows what could happen?
Yeah.
Literally life altering.
Yeah.
Potentially life altering in any situation because of the two or more.
Yeah.
Two more.
Yeah. And it's sort of like, for me, my thing was called the pulse, because it was shown to me in this way of connecting how, our huge network, when you get together with these individuals that are so in their fullness, they know, that they come in as they're in their fullness, we connect, and it sends a huge pulse through the network, and it's received by everybody, consciously or unconsciously. It just is how we work with this huge big root system, if you like, that it just gets pulsed through, and it raises that frequency of togetherness, and it shares everything, because that's what we do. And now you're pulling from you, and you're not pulling from any other systems outside of your own nature. Now we're all starting to pull from our own nature, and now we start this pulsing that gets more and more powerful, and it causes a huge quickening through the network.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. It's not only is it like a guy, you can't really explain. I can't explain it in 3D terms. I can see it up here. It's almost like you're plugging in. We have these sockets on Earth when you have two or three prongs, but you come together, and all of a sudden there's a circuit, like just multitude, and it plugs in. Everything exchanges, but at the same time it sends down a unified kind of boom. Like just a boom, and like the pulse that you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Even if you just look at it, forget the story, just look at it from an energetic level, and you take these nodes, you take these coordinates of all, and they form a particular circle, which is infinite. You know what I mean? And boom. And to be in the physical, which is the kicker, because we don't really know what's going to happen. Everything else is expanding. The physical, the body, the physical experience is going to go right along with it. So we don't even know what these types of. But I think they can accelerate things very quickly. Personally, I'm anxious to see this thing happen and see what happens from it.
Yeah. Just from who knows what will happen with our own nature and how we expand that. Okay. But we do know and feel one thing, and that is that energy of love, which is really togetherness.
Yeah. Because I mean, and we're talking about a circle, and we're also referring to a physical representation of it with this thing on Friday. But I mean, that space, there's some obvious things. That space, there's no agenda. That space, there's a vulnerability. There's a no BS vulnerability. I know you, and this is why the women have it, like what you were talking about earlier, because they know. Yeah. They know you bleed just like me. They know you've been a mother just like, all that. They know what that is. And we're men have a further, typically we'll have a further to go with it. But I do think we're seeing, I know I've seen it myself. I'm not trying to say anything, but I've seen it in other men too. I mean, Miguel Dean was on, I think a week ago Monday, and that was incredible. It's incredible to see in myself and other people, men and women, where we were 2 years ago, with somebody that you have that, like you and I. I mean, so you're seeing it. You're seeing it.
Yeah. And it's good. It's just perfect for the time we're in right now, because for so long we've watched and said nothing. So long we've felt and said nothing. And we have allowed on all levels. And it really does, it kind of hurts when you're watching and you're feeling and you're seeing something that is not coming from that place at all. And yet it's like that false light where there's just moths everywhere, innocently flying into this arena. And you sit back, you say nothing, you watch, and it's like, okay, calling it out, it didn't work. Not allowed to call it out because it's not spiritual, so you get chucked out of that community, and now you're separate again. And then from that just sprung, okay, here's what love does. It connects. It's togetherness. And you come to that place where it's not a lead by example, it's just an I am blah blah moment. And all of a sudden the other ones are right there with you. This is what it looks like. It doesn't look anything like that. This is what it feels like, offering at the same time, and right at this time when a huge collapse of a system is on its way. And that's because it's both of these things at the same time. It was just time. I don't know where I was going with that. I think I've gone off on a tangent. So back to you.
That's all right. No. Well, you started out talking about, hey, this thing is going to be 9 a.m. Saturday in Australia, Sydney, midnight the 30th UK, and 7 p.m. Eastern, and 4 p.m. Pacific on the 30th. No, you were talking about, and again, it's I guess it's gotten easier because we're hearing in energetic terms. So like when you're talking about, we've been quiet long enough.
Yeah.
That to me is a representative of the energy that's coming up, which we can call it the Mother Goddess energy, the divine feminine, but it is what has been in the minority, and as a result, we've been in imbalance. But I feel like something happened to the masculine energy. Something shifted in a huge way on or around the equinox collectively. And as a result, it's almost like the masculine energy, got far enough along that then the feminine could kick it back up. Because that feminine, the way I see it, is that feminine's going to be represented by a large energy complex of women. You know what I mean? It's not going to be like, oh, we got a woman prime minister. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be like boots on the ground. Like enough of this. Like, what was it, 15 years ago, all the women in the country of, I think, Iceland, they all got together, grassroots, and said, we're not going to work in the house today, and we're not going to work. And within 2-3 days, they had equal pay. First country in the world. That type of energy is what I'm talking about. From the root, from the grassroots up. Which is that energy of not having to be the leader, right? They don't have to be the president or the prime minister or the whatever. It's just because it is a team effort.
Yeah, it is, because we share the planet and our own nature, where it's getting silly to even consider anything else. And it's been a time of watching, waiting, and looking, and just it just doesn't cut it anymore.
That's right. And I just saw a comment here. I think you can speak to this.
Yeah.
Because this is, to me, this is where the most evidence is. Okay, it was Heather Nielsen, and I don't see it now, but she's, oh, here it is. I have lost several Facebook friends lately, which at first felt like a loss, but I understand that it leaves space for meeting other souls who resonate, which again, literally and energetically. But the reason I say, to me it's the biggest evidence, is because you're seeing it all over the place, which is what you're talking about in action, and the repercussions of that on how we have been communicating in a codependent frequency realm, and what it looks like. Some of this situations like she's talking about, I mean, this is new territory. Some of these people may, quote unquote, come back, and some may not. But it's creating this good stress on our communication and on our connections, and that's the feminine.
Yeah.
Are you listening? Are you listening? Are you really listening to me? Are you over? You know what I mean? I mean, all the things that you guys have had to contend with.
Yeah. And as we get into our own sovereignty and owning that, being that, and then the masculine supports that next step up, she's able to then expand further, because it's like, I keep seeing the words, watch this space. And it's like this energy, as I said, has only just begun. And it's
watch
like,
this
space, right? So she's being held right now in this beautiful point of power, if you like. It's a point of creation. She's being held and supported. She's holding herself while he's supporting her, right? Now, from that space, that's where she's needed to be. That's where she's needed to allow herself to be. Yeah. And it's now a watch this space.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Everything is on notice. It's because it's moved. Consciousness has moved. The frequency is completely shifted.
Yes,
and
it has.
We'll see the opposite, of course, very quickly. And yeah, I guess we'll even what it looks like, what it might not look like, whatever. There's always that aspect of seriousness, like right now, I guess you could feel like this is quite a serious chat, but there's that underlying thing that we wish to express is this joy, this wonder, this incredible excitement for what sort of creation we're going to move into together. So it's an excitement for the joy. That's what I've been feeling, just this excitement of expressing, because the seriousness and the rules and all of that, it's like it just gets so boring,
It's not sticking anymore. It's not sticking anymore. It's not just the laws or the rules or the borders. It's actually the way we communicated, the way we connect to people or don't connect. And so it's infiltrated now. I feel like it happened, like I said, last month, sometime during a period of time. I don't know. I just remember going, now this is all changed. Like this is a totally different. And then things start happening, and you start to have experiences, and I was just talking to you, and I'm watching this film, just like waves of hazy smoke, but there's no smoke in here, and a bunch of it sitting here going off, and I'm looking at it while you're talking. These types of things that it's affecting all of us. But the important thing is for me, like for what I do, and I don't mean this to make it about myself. What I mean is, on an individual level, whatever our little piece is, I can see where there's to create that space, right, that you're talking about. Because in that space is where the characteristics and attributes of that suppressed energy in all of us thrives, to include premonitions, to include, whatever, bilocation, or any of these things that have primarily been in the women. Now, you have some men that are psychics and all that, don't get me wrong, but the vast majority, the empaths, the vast majority has been those that have that, the majority of them is a feminine frequency. So imagine again, whether it's one get together Friday or Saturday, or it's collectively from our intentions, from our thoughts, from our heart, whatever. I mean, that's that pulsation you're talking about.
Yeah. And what'll be really cool to experience is after the connections, after the pulsing, and through these gatherings of togetherness, is what will come of it. What will the experiences be like? From the energy has moved, should I say the frequency has moved so far out of meditation, and what that is about, and why everybody had to meditate, especially if you're spiritual. Definitely if you're spiritual. And meditation with some
no, I agree with you. Yeah, because really, what is that? To put you in a state of minimal or no thoughts, to give you some aware. Look, we're walking meditation now.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what meditation for some people could be. Walking, it could be gardening, it could be cooking, it could be whatever, right? But we've moved from that, those rules of how that is, and now it's like, just bring your presence. You don't need to turn off your thoughts or do this worldwide meditation gathering where we're all like, and you're like, are they still there? Just had a thought. Shit, I hope I didn't stuff up the whole gathering, right? And really focusing our energy on this, you come as this force, don't you? It's like you're forcing this thing to happen. I'm holding the grid. I'm really holding the grid together today.
Yeah, that's right. It's shut the fuck up, get out of your way, and don't. What is it when you don't think so much of yourself? Like, I mean, and it's a changing thing. I mean, there was a time, maybe, but everything's changing so rapidly, which just takes us to this greater simplicity and humor. Laughing at yourself is really, I mean, seriously, that's like, if you can do that, I think you're doing okay. Because I get caught up in it. I mean, everybody. But man, I think we're doing a good job. I think we're doing a great job. In fact, this latest change and what it feels like we're getting into, to me, feels amazing. Like, I mean, literally those pulsations that you're talking about, almost like we've never seen them before. Like, things will happen as a result in the physical that you're going, oh my God, that's connected. Yeah, that's definitely connected. And then what you said about people coming back together. Like, what happens after these things happen? Well, I bet you that there'll be less talking, but what needs to be said will be said. And I bet you that a lot of old stuff will come back, because we won't be able to sit with it. If we did something, as this energy gets more and more, has more and more integrity, we're going to go back to people and go, hey, you know what? I was an asshole. And they're going to be like, hey, no big deal. But I think there's going to be a lot of that soul searching and, mending things, because
they could be, or they could be just the realization that we're all human beings. And to be human is to express a range of things, and it's like there's that persona again. It's not okay to be an asshole. It's not okay to have those feelings, thoughts, whatever about that. So, okay, I've just judged, right? Now I have a judgment. Now I am deep in my own shit, apparently, because I've judged something, right? There must be something wrong with me. I'm going to go into an enforced dark night of the soul, and I'm going to go digging around, and I'm going to look, gosh, there's something wrong with me. I guess I don't have to wait long for someone else to point out there's something wrong with me, right? And I'm just like on this train of destruction and deep diving into there's something wrong with me. And when you come into your humanity and you kind of realize, hey, look, there's something wrong with everybody, and it's a beautiful thing. And actually what was wrong ends up totally spinning around into this what's right with me from this different frequency that's not, you know, if it's harmful to go and dig, don't do it. If it doesn't feel harmful, do it. You see, there's harm, there's no harm. So it's a lot of these things are just all, we take it and we hear it, we go, right, file that under definitely don't do that. Or there's
I've seen that before. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you start pointing fingers because it's not okay according to whatever. The energy of that togetherness, the energy of that speaks for itself. And it's
you're
okay.
right. You're right.
It's
no,
okay.
that's true. You know, because like another thing about that frequency exhibited by incarnated females, in a family, like a lot of ethnic families, there's a lot of drama and all that stuff, and one of the aunts or cousins or whatever has a serious situation. You see it. They like 4, 5, 6 of the relatives will go over there. It'll be like they bury the hatchet. We're here to support you. So it's that kind of energy to be seen in a lot of different ways, because this whole thing about being able to be comfortable in your own skin in an environment where you can actually show up like that. And that's another thing about this energy. It shows up. It shows up. That's what I mean by like the relatives going to help. You know, like in the Mexican, you know, I mean, it's a very, you know, it would look like chaos, but that's part of their culture. Yeah. Somebody has a baby and 50 Mexican women are in the house with four boxes of diapers each. You know, I mean, there's just something about that energy that it goes to what you're saying. Like you just get to a point where you just know.
Yeah.
So
and you don't sort of, you know, somebody's closest person in their life has transitioned, right?
Yeah.
You don't turn up and you go, it's so unspiritual. You know, there's no death, right? Like, I can't believe somebody as high frequency as you could even be upset. You know, it's all an illusion. It's not, you know, you're not feeling it. Maybe there's something wrong with you. I thought you were better than this. All that kind of thing is so laughable. There's so much gold and rich material in being able to look at that. And really, we come together and you know, in New Zealand, I've been to a lot of their funeral process is completely different. They all come together in their grief and they sing it out and they sound it out, and it goes for days. It's a process that they all go through. They all meet together in that grief. And then at the end, it's a celebration of that life. And it's such a beautiful transition. There's no, it's just a part of being human, you know, out of that, without all of that other stuff that goes with it. So just, I think, for me anyway, it's sort of looking at things that were so serious that actually aren't that serious. Yes, there are times when it is, it doesn't feel good and it's not anything. And the last thing I think people need to hear is get your shit together. You know better than this, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, where's this going to take you? Where's this leading you? Maybe together, while we're holding space for each other, something beautiful will come out of this.
Yeah.
A new growth will come out of this that will be something that we can't see at the moment, you know.
Yeah, grief is a very powerful transformation doorway. So
yeah,
that's and I think that's another part of what you've been talking about too, is that owning. Oh, yeah, if you're pissed off, you're pissed off. If you're this, you're this. If you're that, you're that, and that's okay. We all do it. You know what I mean?
Well, it's not spiritual to be pissed off, Todd.
Yeah, shit.
It's
I mean,
you know, it's like, if you're okay, you're okay. If you're okay with you, you're okay with you. And then, I think those that want to disconnect and go off and do that. There's, no judgment about judging judgment. So I don't have any judgment while I'm judging judgment. Sort of mentality.
It was like the two conversations I had I was talking about. And again, I'm in judgment. I'm just going to say that, even I don't know if I am, but I think I am. But it was just the whole, you know, it has to be this way. Like it was a congenial conversation, but that was the same type of thing. It was like, you know, get over it. Like, this is an absolute, like, you're spiritual, and this is the way it has to be this way. And this energy that we're talking about is not like that.
No,
it is accepting. It is like the mother accepts all things. Like, a mother has a child, has a bunch of children. One of the children screws up and murders someone. That mother is never going to give up on that kid. That mother will be the one that sends money every week, that whatever it is. That's the type of energy. So what's that going to look like? You know what I mean?
Well, it's going to be fun, isn't it? When people start accepting themselves where they are and embracing their own nature, which allows the next person to accept who that person is. And suddenly, even like I've heard you say a few times, Todd, oh, I've had to curb my sarcasm, whatever. And it's like, okay, so it's not okay to be sarcastic, because it's definitely not spiritual. Okay. So now.
Yeah, right. We're just going to be drones, or what do you call it?
I'm just going to sit here in non-judgment of my judgment. And that's it. I'm just going to sit here and
that's true. Touche. Yeah.
It's like, okay,
touche.
If it's harmful to you in that moment, then it's not feeling good, and it's totally out of alignment. And if you're actually in someone's face being harmful, then that's out of alignment. But if you can't see the humor in that, and if you can laugh at yourself, other people can laugh at themselves. Other people can laugh at you, and you don't take offense because you don't take it that seriously. It's okay to be and express. That's true.
That's true. I'm sitting here laughing because I can think of growing up. I hated people making fun of me. Right? I mean, I think maybe a lot of us were like that. I don't know, but being shy, and then you start to get made fun of, and you turn into a monster. Yeah. But now that's one of the gifts of doing what I do these last few years, because you fuck up so many times. You're just like, what the hell? Like, just flip on the camera, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's
I'm just me being me. You're you being you.
Yeah.
But you do you, I'll do me, and together we can embrace together.
Yeah.
Not that I'm embracing the WI persona or anything like that. I meant we as in W-E's, but because there's so much separation in all these things, rules and whatever, and what it looks like. Even we've gotten to a space where there is rules in we.
How you
We
spell it?
don't do that. We do this and we feel that and we know that. And it's like, who the heck is this we? You know? Is that we the same as the God or the source that this is for me funny, and I've got a lot of funny material on this, and Mum and I have a laugh over this one. So God, source, whatever, forgot itself, or even worse, didn't know itself, and we're like, oh, we're stuffed, because if that doesn't know itself, what hope is there for us, right?
Hey, that could be it.
Things that you get told. So okay, I'm this beautiful big consciousness in my own nature, right? And I'm just like, hang on a minute, I'm going to forget myself. Good idea. So I'm going to forget myself, forget self, forget self, forget self. Sending it out through the network. Everybody forget self. Got it? Everyone forgotten? Yep. Okay, let's go. Whee! You know, some of the things that we take on
you're right.
are just so funny.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Are you sure you've forgotten yourself? And you know, know yourself. That's it. It's like, oh.
See, that's what one of the issues I had with Far Eastern philosophies and religion, because and I know I don't think it was all meant that way, but it's just too much. You know, I mean, don't forget the human. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Just don't forget the human. You know, I'm here. I'm only going to get to be Todd. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, am I going to get this back? Is it going to be in perpetuity? I don't know. Will it be a consciousness? I mean, I have theories in this, but I really don't know shit. So when you said, even when you made, I mean, that's funny to be even going and to say, or maybe the goddess doesn't know who she is. Isn't that kind of where we're all at? I mean, the beauty of that, because there is a certain element to this whole trip that you're never going to get the full proof, no matter how enlightened you are. You're never going to get the full proof. And I love what you said earlier about the fire, because, you know, you feel it on your ass. Mm-hmm. And it's a different kind of thing now, because I feel like, for me anyway, it's a softer kind of, you know, awareness to integrate, process, transform, whatever, elevate, expand. But yeah, I that's how I see it, because I remember 10 years ago going through what I was going through on the street, and it was a very hard kind of thing. I've got to walk this many miles today, and I've got to, and it was a very patriarchal, and I'm a masculine, so I was having to, you know, and like when I met Morgan, it was like, hey, you know, you didn't have to do all that. You know, there's another way to do it. So that's what I'm saying. I think the world isn't Todd. It's the men or women. It's the world, but it is being led by these and what are the characteristics in the background? Always show up, always there, and are aligned with that frequency. Because I don't know too many that aren't, regardless of their disposition. Women have their own frequency. And I was telling Morgan this the other day. I was like, you know, I realized at some point a few weeks ago that I'm going into a space where I don't know how the communication works. So I might be getting more feminine balance or whatever you want to call it, but I'm still having to learn from the human level how this works. And to be honest with you, to me, it takes a lot of observation and a very much being in touch and trusting your feelings. That's what I've kind of figured out so far. But I know I have a long way to go.
Yeah.
But
it's more of a presence, isn't it? It's like, instead of, you know, I don't know how to be in this. I don't know how to act in this. What does this look like? You know, shit, I'm a mess. Buddy, it's just I'm a present with this, with what is. I'm present. While I'm going to interact, I'm present with what is now in this moment going on within me, because that's where it's at. It's not about trying to figure out even what it looks like, because it looks like what it looks like because you're looking at
That's
it.
right.
Even if you think you're not, you know what it looks like because you're doing it. You're being it. So just show up, you know. You just show up.
See, that's another thing that you say too that makes sense. We're going to take it up another notch. So I'm this, whatever I think I am. And I come to the party that way. I'm this, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like you know, we're going into this space, and okay, so it's quantum, right? So how do we know? I mean, the quantum science says it's created by in so many words, the thoughts projected from the observer. I mean, what more do we need? So this is where I think a big part of our transition is too. And I was talking to Morgan again earlier today. We've talked about it before. I personally, nobody else, I have to extract from certain hard components of the matrix, no matter how much sense it doesn't make. Because I know if I continue to project that construct in my field, it will remain. Mm-hmm. And so I think a big part of this time, whether you want to call it way showers or not, I don't care for any of that stuff. But whoever's on the ground right now, we're breaking down these doors. Yeah. We're laying down the path. It's fresh territory. We're the bulldozer in the forest, you know. So we can't underestimate that. That this is, I mean, for me, I feel like that's a really big deal in my journey. And I guess everybody has their own specialties, but yeah, how do we, you know, if I'm being sarcastic, like going back to that example, I'm being sarcastic and it's humorous. There's nothing ill going out. It's just a funny vibration, right? But if I'm it's saying to myself, which I had to for a while about certain people back when you were talking about, I would make the comment, but I had knives all in it. You know what I mean? That's why I said, no, I got to check that.
Yeah. Because what you're laughing at is you, is an aspect of you, right? It's within you, or you can't see it, you can't feel it or notice it. So the minute you can get to that space where you can be sarcastic with yourself, because you've seen it within yourself, the knives are not coming anymore.
Yeah, that's been the big one, right? Like the self-debilitating and the self-sabotaging. And I noticed that this past week. I'm trying to remember how this went, but there was a couple of days and I went pretty deep in dream state. And then of course I had like the residual with me. And I was kind of watching myself, you know, that's kind of going on right now where like you've got the human thing and you're kind of watching. I don't know if you can relate to that. And it's kind of somewhere in the middle. And I just remember noticing there was like two waves. And I noticed that I immediately said to myself, I forgive you. And it wasn't like I forgive you, like, oh my God, look what you did. It was just more like, I just wiped the slate right there. Like that's not going to stick around. Boom. Hey, I'm tired. My beloved just left. I've got a little, after effect of that. I mean, there's all kinds of elements going on and things happening. And I just happened to notice in observation, these two waves where I immediately cleared the deck. And that's got to be happening. You know, that's got to be happening everywhere.
Isn't it? It's so much softer. And it's because we're just becoming more of ourselves. I mean, how many people, you know, well, maybe they do, but higher self, you know, does your higher self ever say, you know, that's wrong, don't do that, that's bad, you're bad? When you act like that,
it laughs.
You have a laugh. It'll say,
it laughs at you.
It's like, it won't even say I forgive you because there's nothing to forgive. There's nothing to, you might get a bit of an experience of you being softer with yourself, you coming from a space of alignment, you know, you've just wandered off a little there, come back into alignment. But that's okay that you wandered off. But, you know, to come back into alignment, you know, whatever. There's no, there's never a thing of, you know, dear, whatever, what's the thing? Beloveds, we are here today to tell you that
what kind of tea are you drinking today? No, that's funny.
Well, you know what I mean? Like, we've come to tell you that the state of your being lately has been completely off. And as a result of that, you are going to be experiencing 3 days of darkness. And, you know, whatever, just being silly. But it's really not. It's more lighthearted. It's more of just finding alignment. Discovering what love, true love, it really is. You know, it's that vibe, that essence of togetherness.
Yeah, with yourself first and foremost.
Get your shit together, girl. You know, whatever. Come together, all of it. Bring it all into one. Yeah. And then laugh the shit out of that, and then let's cruise from that space. Let's create from that space.
That's right. Yeah, because there's pieces of us in this multidimensionality. There's pieces of us, and just in this incarnation that we didn't want to think about. We didn't want to talk about. We rationalized the position on it. Example going back to, doing the shows. I struggled. Morgan will tell you, I struggled. I'll be like, don't put that person on. I can't believe I'm going over that person. Then I'd go on and go, that was a great show. And then I'd have the other expectation, oh, this would be a great show. And it ends up being something I didn't expect. But what I'm finding out now, like with one of the shows I was telling you about, I went back and I was like, okay, it didn't go forgiveness but I knew, why am I charged? So I went and sat down. I'm not looking for, the smoking gun. I was just like going, okay, could I have listened more? Could I have spoke less? I was just checking myself. That's it. And then I went, okay, I don't really fucking know. I'm just going to forgive the whole thing, wipe the slate clean, send love, which had already been done through messages, both of us. And it's like, get over it. Get over it.
Yeah, we're only getting over ourselves. Get over yourself. Get over yourself. Just when you go into that defensive mode, you're in stuck again, and you're in that phase that judgment is wrong. It's not okay to judge others, but it's okay to judge self. So as soon as you pick something and go, well, this is wrong. I mean, it's so confusing, isn't it? To be in this, to have all
it's got to go. It's got to go.
It's okay to judge me. I don't know what to do now. I need to reach out to somebody and ask them if it's okay to judge me. God, I don't know what to do. It's just.
But it just shows you that everything's up for grabs. Like all this information I can't even imagine. Like with you or with a Morgan, some of these people have been 20 years and just always had it, and I can't. But I have experienced things, and I was lucky, I guess. I knew that it wasn't literal or whatever, but I've had my moments, and but it all has to go. Mm-hmm. I think of the reptilians and the Anunnaki, and I think of different types of energies that this is just like in the last few days when I go to bed. Like where do I want to go today? Do I want to do this? And I'll notice, oh, no, I don't want to go there. Oh, why not? Am I still scared? Do I have fear there? So there's all this stuff going on. But to me, I just say to myself, you know what? It's just the story. It's just the narrative. That's just in our visible rear view mirror or future mirror looking glass. This is the story. This is the only thing I really can put my finger on. How do I not know? I don't know anything but this. So what you're talking about.
Either, but it's exciting to move through me.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like that thing you said about maybe God doesn't know who God is.
God help us all.
And then we're all in trouble, right?
Yeah.
And then you go back to the quantum thing. So how do you know? How do I not know I'm not a code in a simulation and I don't have a higher self? And that's a program that runs through me. But the one thing I do have is my awareness and my belief that's been validated through my own life, and I'm watching other people, that there is a quantum thing going on here. So if I believe that I live in perpetuity, that may be the difference. And then again, I may be worm dirt and I won't know any difference. So what the fuck? Just get on with it.
Exactly.
Get on with it. I like that. Do you feel raw? Do you feel like
totally.
like raw? I don't want to say raw is a new norm, but I feel raw a lot. Vulnerable. I mean, I think it like raw and tender. Like I'm just like going, wow. And it's not like I can't keep going. It's just like, wow, I just feel like I couldn't even put on an act. You know what I mean? Like I'm not even going to try to act like, are you okay, Todd? No, I'm not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm about 80%.
Yep.
Whatever.
And that's that beautiful frequency that's flowing through us all at the moment. And it's, it's very tender. You're right. It's very raw. And there's loads of that that people are experiencing at the moment. Yeah. And that's where we get into that at times, that there's something wrong with me. I'm feeling really raw and vulnerable. There must be something wrong with me. You know,
three Hail Marys and 2 Our Fathers, and you'll be all right.
Well, I mean, this is
what you're talking about, right? Yeah. I mean, if we want to be honest about it. So what's the difference? You know, I was raised a Catholic. It was told you sinned, go on Sunday, go to confession, and they give you 9 prayers to say, and then you're clean, right? Yeah. And so and now that served me. It served me my existence, and as I journeyed, and then I realized, oh, that's bullshit, right? And then you go on. Well, what's the difference? You outgrow something, right? I mean, and I think that's a lot of what's going on. It's been interesting to watch energy practitioners and that field evolve in especially the last year and 4 months. But like we're talking about being in a space where nobody needs, at least long term, nobody needs a session. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, that's part of that coming together thing. I think one of the byproducts of that is going to be that code exchange. And how that's going to expand and accelerate things. Yeah. It's just time. You know, for me, it's like time. And I say again, it's like you said, it's energy, but it's time. The support, the field is intact. So step 1 was her saying, hey, enough of this shit. Okay. Then we come along, and now the masculine side of it comes up and says, okay, I'm here. I got it. I got it. Go ahead. I'm holding the ladder. And now it seems like this is the inevitable is now upon us, which is from the grassroots, this type of non-publicized, for the most part, type of thing, right? It's not like going to be in the newspaper or make movies about it. It's just going to be a group like Friday and many other ones start popping up and already probably happening, where they go into this sacred wisdom circle. Because they've done it for millennia. Yeah,
that's right. And it's just been waiting. And the waiting has finished. Self-acceptance right now, too. Just accepting self. Because that's, you know, when you were saying about going to church and all, you know, that's it. Everyone is seeking that. And once you get blessed with that, I'm okay. Oh, yeah. I'm okay. Yeah. It really doesn't matter. Gee, I feel so much better now. All week I was worried about that, and now it's gone because someone told me it's okay. Yeah. You know, coming to that within yourself, just being okay with where you are, constantly moving through you, just being okay with what's in front of me. Don't worry about what's next week or next month. Just what's in front of me right now.
Yeah, that's right.
Move through that, do that, deal with that, and then.
And it's a bit tricky because you're losing these conventional methods of navigation, such as I'm going to go to this uni and go 4 years and get this degree. Now, hang with me, energetic. Or I use myself. I'm going to be in Australia, right? But I'm here right now, and I'm there, right? And that's all coming in. But you just until it becomes part of it, to me, it's this whole space thing. Like when this happened, and I know it wasn't just us, but this, I knew before she left. I knew when we talked about it, I said, we're on the front edge of space starting to diminish. Because think about that. I want to get, like David Icke back on. He's going to come back on, I think, in June, or somebody of that stature. When I say stature, I'm talking about somebody who's done a lot of research and say, what about all these people all around the world that are meeting with dragons and galactic and elementals and what about all this? What about all these dreams that people writing every day to each other? Say, you were in my dream last night and you gave me this crystal and I put it in my throat, and all these little pieces that are, you can see the dotted lines. What about that? Like how much of that's going on? I think there's enough going on that I really think we've pushed the timeline forward. I really do. I think we've pushed it, and I think this was a big, big deal, what just happened.
Yeah.
I really
what we've
do.
done is we've created an equal playing field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And a sacred space to
See,
hold.
that's it. That's it. That's exactly what that is. It's an equal playing field.
Yep.
Right? And so I was giving this analogy to somebody the other day. I said, what if you're in the middle of Wembley Stadium or some big stadium, right, in the world, and there's 80,000 people, and you're in the center of the field, and you all your clothes are removed, you're stripped, like that point, like I was saying earlier, like you go on the screen enough and you fuck up and you embarrass yourself and you have sleep in your eye and you just finally go, you know what? Hey, here I am. Right. And so you get to that point. That's what that represents to me, that sacred circle. That's what it represents. It represents a place where there is an even playing field. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah.
Right.
The only thing required is your presence.
Yeah.
The energy does the rest. The frequency does the rest.
It's one of those places, and I think we've all had them in many different cases, but it's one of those moments where you're like when you go on a roller coaster and your stomach drops. Like if you don't have a little bit of that going on, you know what I mean? Because that stuff comes online, right? I had this thing happen the other day, and then I went to the dentist, and they were just taking an X-ray of my tooth. And she did it twice. She did it once, did it twice. She didn't get it. She put it a third time. And I had just come off of this thing with Morgan for the previous few hours. And she put it on there, and my whole body lit up like somebody stuck a light socket, like electricity. It literally, and I knew in that moment that I was on the fringe, like basically with what had just happened, I was on the fringe of physicalizing, that type of thing I'm describing. I think this is the kind of feeling that we're going to have. So like when you say, what's going to happen when we come together and then go, or, and go out and experience and journey, I think that's going to be part of it. Almost like you want to say, you're almost like walking around in an orgasmic state or an ecstatic state. And it has a physical thing to it because that's why we're here. These bodies are just, this is part of our cosmic biology, which makes it really exciting to me.
So all the searching, for this enlightenment, because that's the end of the.
I totally get you today. It took me a little while to catch on, but you're right. And I know you're saying it to yourself. You're saying it to your brother, but that's the whole point. Nobody gets out alive. Nobody's left behind. But in order to get out, you're going to have to be buck naked in the middle of that big stadium. And that's where we all meet. And that's the crazy thing, because that's like your greatest fear, your biggest embarrassment. I don't want people looking at me, but it's actually the sacred ground that you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's the sacred ground. And the only thing keeping you from it, which, oh, here we go, is yourself.
Well, exactly. If there was such a thing as this state of being or identity called enlightenment, you're going to find it first when you meet yourself.
Yeah, that's right. Man, that's another thing too. I don't know about you, but I felt like this when you said the word sacred, that really kind of went, oh yeah, that's been a lot of that going on. But the other thing has been this thing in the body where I mean, this is happening like, I want to say like 4 or 5 times a day. And I'll have like anywhere from I don't know, maybe like 30 seconds to 3 minutes. And it feels like something's wrong. Like it feels like you're going to die. Like you're going, hey, is this okay? And I keep going, well, you have that knowing, you're like, you're okay. Everything's fine. But my humans like going, holy shit, like what's going on here? Like I get these flutterings and electricity, just really weird kind of like vertigo type, just doesn't feel normal.
What is normal,
True. Yeah.
What's it look like?
Well, it doesn't look like this, other than maybe just, the raw, it's raw as we can be.
Yeah.
As raw as we can be. Yeah.
Yeah. The body's releasing. The body's doing what the body does without us interfering with it. For myself, I know I've had those moments in the last weeks too, and just really being present with my body and just thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Because I'm here in this vessel. Thank you for being this sacred vessel.
Yeah.
I don't need to know what's going on and I don't need to worry, but thank you.
Yeah. And I don't, get overly, I'm not a conventional, but I have been in deep gratitude. And I can't even explain it. And I find, because I'm alone now. So, and I talk to myself, I always have, but I'm like, hey, thanks. I mean, like, thank you for letting me be here. Whoever's up there, thank you for letting me be. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea, but I'm just like, and I have said it directly to my body. And once I got past the I'm sorry's, and then like, another thing that's happened too is like the body's going, hey, whatever doesn't fit's going away. You don't have to like stress yourself over it. It's just going to fall away. And I've actually experienced this in the last 2 weeks at a higher level. You know what I mean? Because I'm going kicking and screaming with the bad habits. I'm like, are you sure that we're heading to eternity?
But just in case, I've got a whole carton of ciggies and a couple of bottles of scotch.
I love that. Yeah, Atticus. Atticus said, I want to end up. What do you say? Like coming to the finish line of life and being totally exhausted. Something about like laughing at myself and drunk. He's like, spend yourself in a worthy cause. If you're going to do it, do it.
Yeah.
Which is really.
I was going to say, well, that's just not very spiritual, is it?
Well, that's the church I went to. But I was even watching. I think one of Robert Sepper's still today. It was about the Phoenicians and the Hyperboreans, which I guess is tied to Inner Earth. The connection between them and the Phoenicians, because there's a lot of information on the Phoenicians. But one of the things he was talking about was how it was talking about how there were times on our timeline where there was a recurring event where there would be an injection of a language and all of a sudden animal husbandry. So this is one of those periods. And one of the things that he was talking about, he was talking about how the names had changed throughout the spiritual stories, Horus and Christ, and so and Osiris, and that he was talking about these temples and how one of the things that suddenly appeared out of nowhere was the ability to make alcohol. And I thought, see, they did it. Because he's like, we're in the temples and they found the wine and the beer and all that. And I'm like, yeah, there you go. But yeah,
all fermented stuff is good for you, isn't it?
Oh my God. But really every single thing, like the AI thing, you know, people, and I always say, well, there's the one is the end all everything, Alpha and Omega, then what is there here that's different than me? Nothing. Well, that goes back to what you're saying, because here we are in this form, this very dense form, and to get into a space, a sacred circle, where you're actually as real as you can get. It's weird because it's like the more human you are, the more enlightened. Maybe I don't know what the word is, but they're a lot more likely to have me hanging around you. I'll say that.
The more human we are, the more we embrace our humanity.
It's true. It's weird. It's a paradox. It's a typical paradoxical equation of the universe. What is up is, it's not what is up is down. It's up is down. So like we go and become more human, which is what? Really, what is that? That is for Todd to like the Hellraiser he was. It was Todd to like the good boy he was, and all these different elements of my multi-dimensionality within my human incarnation. To love all those things. And I know that sounds hokey. And then I would even say just to pull those things up, to get to know those things, to acknowledge those things, to recognize those things, to own them as yourself. I mean, we want to, like to your point, we want to spend our time going, hey, I'm going to own this because I was Jesus' son. He told me, you know, which is true. That's what he told me. But that was a code coming to me. I understand that. But yeah, we want to, you know, that term spiritual bypassing has gotten convoluted like so many other terms. But there's a lot of ways to spiritual bypass, and one of them is what I think it's very smart what you said, because over identification with our non-human aspects is an imbalance that is front and center, and everybody's going to be faced with removing that, just like we had to our traumas.
Yeah, you can spiritual bypass all day through that identity, but you won't human bypass. Not if you're listening to this conversation and you're here in a body, or you know, or you're not human, whatever. We're just really at that point of such, I reckon we're going to have a really good laugh.
That's what I say. See, that's what I say. And I don't know if you do this, but I joke back. Like I said the other day to the universe, I said, look, like, because in those moments of like, what do you want? You know, because I was tripping a little bit. I was like, okay, I got to go do this. I got to do this. I want to get to Australia. I got to keep that going. You know, it's like overwhelming my human.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to have a talk. And they're like, well, what do you want? And I said, well, okay. And I thought about it for a long time. I thought, you're such a fucking asshole. But I was like, with all due respect, I want to be in this body, and I don't want to have to sleep, eat, poop, piss, vomit. I think that was it. Like all the really human stuff. And I just said, ha, 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 ha. Yeah, I get some of those. I've had some funny experiences with that. Jeez, yes, I have. So funny. It's so nice to be able to look back at the things that I'll just speak for myself that I've done, we've done, and you can laugh about it. Like the absolute stupidest things. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, what the hell were you thinking, right? You know, those mornings when you wake up and you're like, oh my God. and you look in the mirror and you're like, holy shit, you idiot. Well, get me out of here. Where are my clothes? You know, like, yeah, but to be able to look back at it now and go, wow, there's a certain, what am I trying to say? Like valiant, you know, there's a certain, that's it. Like all this bullshit, this is the code we're offering up. Yeah. They can't go, our other aspects can't do this. We're in the flesh. So all this stuff we think, oh my God, I won't even know about it. This is gold. This is pure code for them.
Yeah. It's allowing everybody to be themselves, you know, without beating each other up and beating yourself up, and without wanting to jump out of the human body and embody a new species of galactics from the 37th dimension that we haven't heard of before, or whatever. Just coming back to being human, being you, being with your own expression.
We got fairies over here. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm totally with you on that. I was going to say one other thing on that. Yeah, and I understand, you know, a lot of us are eccentric. You know, a lot of us talk to ourselves, and some of the connections we have, which are very, I don't want to say maybe dominant aspects within ourselves. That's a lot of energy, you know, and it's understandable. It's understandable. It's understandable. It's no different than getting into a relationship that we've all been in and we couldn't get out. You know, you're seeing the world through this relationship to a point where it becomes detrimental, you know, and it becomes you know, so but I really, you know, I think the more this type, in fact, I don't think we even know what it'll look like, but energetically speaking, because that's another thing about this whole physical 3D, it's so thick. Yet now we're at this point where we can see how that is like the what, like the state of the art alchemic material. Like now we have this. We have that light, which is proportionate to the depth of our dive, and now we're in this space, and I think it's going to be coming out in ways we can't really comprehend. And I think initiatives like this are going to bring it out. It's going to bring it out because that intuition, all that, I was going to start click, 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 click. It's already doing it, and now to do it in the physical and even online. I mean, yeah, that's that pulse. That's what that is. And yeah, that's what it is. Yes, I'm not going to repeat that. There's some comments on here. So yeah, I think I'm going to go and damn, I can't. Sunday, I was going to say I'm going to go get me a beer.
Sunday.
I know. Yeah, over here you can't. I'm in Holy Land.
Really?
I have to drive across the border and go by the casino. There's an idea. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I have to drive across the border. One beer, but nah, I guess I'll wait. So yeah, it's good to see you. How's your mom doing?
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah, she's good. She's a good lady.
She's just like the rest of us.
I know. That was a good thing about her. See, and you see that. We're lucky we see it a lot with people that come on the show. Because the energy kind of like sets it now. It used to be, you know, energy would come in of agenda, and then it might be a more conscious effort. Now it just seems very seamless. And I think the show is like a lot of things. It's just basically a singular representation of what's happening all the way around. Yeah. I definitely think we accelerated things though, which is exciting. Damn, yeah, because I want to travel. I'm ready to get out of this. And I know it's coming for everybody. I'm not saying that for me. I'm saying for everybody. All this stuff is going. Tell your mama say hi.
Will do.
It's out of trouble.
Cause why?
Exactly right. Exactly. That's what Morgan always said. Morgan always said that to me. She'd be like, da da da. I'm like, yeah. She go, why is that? Like, well, because I chose to do that. Why did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a very constructive line of questioning. Which again, I'm making a joke, but this is like what I was talking about the other day. Like, okay, what is it that that has to be that way?
Mm-hmm.
Why does it have to be that way? Who said that God's a man? Yeah. Who said that there is a God? How do you know? How do you know that God knows himself or herself? And how do you know they don't? That's what I mean. You don't know shit. The only thing you know is right here.
Yeah.
It's really getting interesting. The potential is just through the roof, man.
It is.
Seriously,
creativity through the roof too.
Yeah.
Isn't it
That's right.
creativity? It's just like bursting.
Yeah. See, that's the other thing is that when this frequency that we're calling the feminine, which is what it is, and that's been disproportionate in us and in the earth, but when these intentions come together, like Friday, Saturday, that's going to be another thing that's going to be brought in that's not in the straight and narrow square patriarchal. It's that creativity.
Mm-hmm.
See, that spontaneity and intuitiveness, and then the creativity.
Yeah.
That's huge, because when you start to create from that energy versus engineering nuts and bolts and pencil and paper like an accountant, when you get away from it, because that's what you're describing. When you say I'm this and you need to do this, and that's that, even though it's in the light worker circle, even though it may have came from an aspect from another planet, it's still being presented, and that's not sticking anymore.
No.
It really isn't.
No.
For all of us in all ways.
Yay.
Yeah, I got a few fairies in here, and that's new.
Who needs to drink when you've got fairies?
Yeah, exactly. They do. And Merlin. See, I got Merlin. Merlin's back here. Where is he? There he is. Right there.
Yep.
All right. I love you. It's always good seeing you. I'll see you in a few weeks.
See you soon.
Take care.